You understand English when you read or listen. But the moment someone asks you a simple question, your mind suddenly becomes blank. You know the words, but you cannot make a sentence. If this sounds familiar, don't worry. You are not alone. Millions of English learners face the same problem every day. Now here's the good news. What if I told you that you don't need to memorize thousands of difficult words or study grammar for hours before you start speaking English? What if just 100 simple, useful English sentences could help you speak with more confidence in your daily life? It may sound surprising, but it is true. These sentences are the foundation of real conversations. They are the kinds of sentences people use every single day, at home, at work, in school, while shopping, and when meeting new people. In today's lesson, I will guide you through a simple and effective way to improve your spoken English using 100 carefully chosen sentences. More importantly, I will show you how to practice them so they become a natural part of your speaking. By the end of this lesson, you will understand why learning complete sentences is one of the fastest ways to become a confident English speaker. So stay with me until the very end, because in the last chapter, I will share a simple technique that can help you stop translating in your mind and start speaking English more naturally. It is a method that many learners never discover, but once they do, everything becomes much easier. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why 100 sentences can change your English forever. Let me ask you a simple question. How many English words do you know? Maybe you know 100 words. Maybe you know 1,000. Some people even know 5,000 English words. But can they speak English confidently? In many cases, the answer is no. They know many words. But when they try to speak, they stop after just a few seconds. They start thinking about grammar. They try to translate every word from their own language into English. Then they become confused and lose confidence. The problem is not that they don't know enough words. The real problem is that they never learned how those words work together in complete sentences. Words are important, but sentences are what people use in real conversations. When someone asks you, "How are you today?" you don't answer with only one word like fine. Most of the time you answer with a complete sentence such as, "I am fine, thank you. How about you?" This is how real communication happens. Now think about a small child. Have you ever seen a 2-year-old studying grammar rules? Of course not. Children do not open grammar books or memorize long lists of vocabulary. They simply listen to the people around them. Every day they hear complete sentences. They hear things like, "Come here, let's eat, it's time to sleep, and I love you." At first they only listen. Then they begin repeating those same sentences, slowly, without even realizing it. They understand grammar, pronunciation, and sentence structure. They learn naturally because they practice complete sentences again and again. The good news is that adults can learn in a very similar way. Yes, you can study grammar if you want to, and grammar is useful. But if your goal is to speak English confidently, learning complete sentences is one of the fastest and most effective methods. Every sentence teaches you many things at the same time. You learn new vocabulary. You learn how words are connected. You learn the correct word order. You hear the natural pronunciation, and you begin to understand how native speakers express their ideas. One sentence gives you much more than one single word ever can. I remember meeting a learner who had studied English for several years. He had a notebook full of vocabulary. Every page contained dozens of new words. If I asked him the meaning of a word, he answered correctly almost every time. His vocabulary was impressive. But one day I asked him a very simple question. I said, "What did you do yesterday?" He smiled, became quiet, and could not answer. He knew the words yesterday, go, friend, and market, but he had never practiced putting them together into a complete sentence. After that, he changed his learning method. Instead of memorizing single words, he started learning useful sentences every day. Within a few months, he became much more confident because he no longer searched for individual words. The sentences came to his mind naturally. That is exactly why today's lesson is so important. These 100 sentences are not random sentences from a textbook. They have been carefully chosen because people use them every day. They will help you introduce yourself with confidence. You will learn how to ask simple questions and answer naturally. You will be able to talk about your family, your work, your hobbies, your feelings, and your daily routine. You will know how to ask for help, thank someone politely, apologize, give simple opinions, and have short conversations in many everyday situations. These are the kinds of sentences that make English useful from the very beginning. The best part is that you do not need an expensive English course to start speaking. You do not need shelves full of grammar books. You do not need to spend hours trying to memorize difficult rules before opening your mouth. What you really need is a simple plan and a few minutes of practice every day. If you listen carefully, repeat the sentences aloud, and use them regularly, your confidence will grow little by little. Remember, fluency is not built in one day. It is built one sentence at a time. So stay with me, because this is only the beginning. In the next chapter, we will start learning the first group of useful English sentences that you can use in your daily life. I will also show you the best way to practice them so that you remember them easily and begin using them naturally in real conversations. By the end of this lesson, you will realize that speaking English is much easier than you ever imagined. Chapter 2. The first 35 everyday sentences everyone should know. Now that you understand why learning complete sentences is so powerful, it's time to begin using them. The first 35 sentences are all about everyday communication. These are the kinds of sentences people use from the moment they wake up until they go to bed. If you can use these sentences comfortably, you will already be able to handle many simple conversations in English. Think about your normal day. In the morning, you meet someone and say, "Good morning." A little later, you introduce yourself by saying, "My name is," or "Nice to meet you." Then you ask another person, "What is your name?" These may seem like very simple sentences, but they are the beginning of almost every conversation. When you know them well, you feel more confident talking to new people. After introductions, conversations usually become a little longer. Someone may ask you where you live. You may answer by saying where your city or country is. Then someone may ask about your family. You might say that you have one brother, two sisters, or that you live with your parents. These are real-life conversations that happen every day, whether you are at school, at work, or meeting someone for the first time. Next, you often talk about the things you like and dislike. Maybe you like reading books, maybe you enjoy playing football, perhaps you don't like spicy food, or you love watching movies. These simple sentences help people know more about you. They also make conversations more interesting because the other person can share their own likes and dislikes too. As your conversation continues, you begin asking simple questions. You might ask someone how they are feeling. You might ask where they are going or what they are doing. You may ask about their job or their studies. In return, you answer the same kinds of questions about yourself. This is how natural conversations grow. One simple sentence leads to another, and before you know it, you are having a real conversation in English. During the day, there are many moments when we need to be polite. We thank people when they help us. We say sorry when we make a mistake. We ask for help when we don't understand something. Imagine you cannot find your classroom. You politely ask someone for help. Imagine someone opens the door for you. You smile and say thank you. These small sentences are used every single day, and they make your English sound kind, respectful, and natural. Finally, every conversation has an ending. Sometimes you simply say goodbye. Sometimes you say, "See you later," or "Have a nice day." These closing sentences are just as important as the first greeting because they leave a good impression. When you know how to begin and end a conversation politely, you already have an important speaking skill. As you learn these first 35 sentences, I want you to practice them in the right way. Don't just read them silently with your eyes. Open your mouth and say each sentence aloud. Repeat every sentence at least 2 or 3 times. Listen carefully to your own voice. The more you hear yourself speaking English, the more natural it will become. Speaking is a skill, and like every skill, it improves with practice. You can also imagine yourself in different situations while practicing. Picture yourself meeting a new friend. Imagine talking to your teacher. Imagine introducing yourself during a job interview or speaking with a tourist. When you connect each sentence with a real situation, your brain remembers it much more easily. Later, when you are in a similar situation, the sentence will come to your mind naturally. Remember one very important thing. You will make mistakes, and that is completely normal. Every person who speaks English today made mistakes when they were learning. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are learning something new. Don't wait until your English is perfect before you start speaking. If you wait for perfection, you may never begin. Instead, speak today. Learn from your mistakes and become a little better every single day. Always remember this. Fluency does not come from perfection. Fluency comes from repetition. Every time you repeat a sentence, your confidence grows. Every time you use it in a real conversation, it becomes easier. Little by little, speaking English becomes a habit instead of a challenge. After you master these first 35 everyday sentences, You will be surprised by how many conversations you can already understand and join. You will recognize familiar expressions everywhere, and speaking will feel much less frightening than before. But this is only the beginning. In the next chapter, we will move beyond basic conversations and learn useful English sentences for real-life situations like shopping, traveling, ordering food in restaurants, asking for directions, using transportation, and many other public places. These are the sentences that will make your English even more practical and useful in everyday life. Chapter 3. The next 35 sentences that help you speak in real-life situations. Now that you have learned the first group of everyday sentences, it is time to take the next step. In this chapter, we will focus on situations that happen outside your home. These are the moments when English becomes truly useful. Maybe you are shopping in a store. Maybe you are traveling to another country. Perhaps you are ordering food in a restaurant or asking someone for directions. These are real-life situations where knowing the right sentence at the right time can make everything much easier. Imagine that you walk into a shop and you want to buy something. You need to ask about the price. You may also want to know if the shop has a different color or a different size. These are very common conversations. Now imagine you are sitting in a restaurant. You want to order your favorite meal, ask for the menu, or request a glass of water. These are simple situations, but they require complete sentences, not just individual words. Think about traveling. You arrive at a bus station or an airport and need to ask where your bus or train leaves from. Maybe you want to ask how long the journey will take or whether the seat is available. If you know the right English sentences, you can ask these questions with confidence. The person helping you will understand exactly what you mean. Sometimes we also need English while talking on the phone. You may call a hotel to make a reservation. You might call a company to ask for information. Or you may simply want to leave a message for someone. Speaking on the phone can feel more difficult because you cannot see the other person's face. That is why practicing these everyday phone conversations is so important. There are also times when we visit a doctor or a pharmacy. You may need to explain that you have a headache, a fever, or a stomach ache. You may need to ask how often you should take your medicine or where the nearest hospital is. Learning these useful sentences can help you communicate clearly when you really need assistance. Every day, we also ask people for information. We ask what time it is. We ask where something is located. We ask for directions. We ask someone to repeat because we did not understand. Sometimes we politely ask people to help us. Sometimes we solve small problems by explaining what happened. These are all natural parts of daily life, and they become much easier when you already know the complete sentences. Here is a very important learning tip. Do not memorize a sentence by itself. Always connect the sentence with a real situation. Imagine yourself standing in a supermarket while practicing shopping sentences. Imagine yourself sitting in a restaurant while practicing food-related sentences. Picture yourself at an airport, on a bus, or speaking to a receptionist at a hotel. When your brain connects a sentence with a picture or a situation, remembering it becomes much easier. Later, when you face the same situation in real life, the sentence will come to your mind almost automatically. I remember hearing about a young traveler who visited another country for the first time. He was worried because he thought his English was not good enough. He did not know thousands of words. In fact, he had practiced only a small number of useful English sentences before his trip. Every morning and every evening he repeated those same sentences aloud. When he arrived, he used them to ask for directions, order food, buy train tickets, check into his hotel, and even make new friends. He made a few mistakes, but people understood him because he spoke clearly and confidently. By the end of his trip, he realized something very important. You do not need perfect English to communicate. You simply need useful sentences that you can use with confidence. That brings us to another important point: pronunciation. Many learners worry too much about having the perfect accent. They think they must sound exactly like a native speaker before they can start speaking. But that is not true. Your goal is not to sound perfect. Your goal is to be understood. If you pronounce your words clearly, speak at a comfortable speed, and use complete sentences, people will usually understand you without any problem. So don't try to speak very fast. Speaking quickly does not mean speaking well. In fact, many confident English speakers talk slowly and clearly. Take your time. Say each word carefully. Think about your sentence, smile, and speak with confidence. As you continue practicing every day, your speed and pronunciation will naturally improve. Most importantly, never let fear stop you from speaking. Confidence grows every time you use English. Even if you make a small mistake, keep talking. Every conversation teaches you something new, and every sentence you practice brings you one step closer to fluency. Now you have learned another powerful group of practical English sentences that you can use almost anywhere in daily life. But we are not finished yet. In the final chapter, we will learn the remaining sentences that make your English sound more natural, more fluent, and more like real everyday conversation. These are the sentences that will help you express your ideas with greater confidence and connect smoothly with other people. Chapter 4. The final 30 sentences that build confidence and fluency. Welcome to the final chapter. So far, you have learned sentences for everyday conversations and practical situations outside your home. Now it is time for the last group of sentences. These final 30 sentences are very special because they help connect conversations naturally. They make your English sound smoother, more confident, and more natural. Instead of giving only short answers, you will learn how to keep a conversation going. In daily life, people often share their opinions. Someone may ask you, "What do you think?" You need to express your ideas politely and confidently. Sometimes you agree with someone. Other times you disagree, but you do it in a respectful way. These sentences help you have friendly conversations without sounding rude. They also help you express your personality because people learn about your thoughts and feelings. These sentences will also help you talk about your future plans. Maybe you want to tell someone what you will do tomorrow, next week, or next year. You may want to describe something exciting that happened to you yesterday or talk about an interesting experience from your life. When you know these kinds of sentences, your conversations become much more interesting because you are sharing real stories instead of only answering simple questions. Another important skill is asking follow-up questions. Imagine someone tells you they traveled to another country. Instead of saying only, "That's nice," you can ask, "How was your trip?" or "What did you like the most?" These simple questions keep the conversation alive. They show that you are interested in the other person, and they make speaking English feel much more natural. These final sentences also help you express your emotions. Sometimes you want to say that you are happy, excited, surprised, worried, or tired. Other times you want to encourage someone by saying, "You can do it," or "Don't give up." You may also want to make a suggestion, give simple advice, or politely recommend something. These are the kinds of sentences people use every day with friends, family, classmates, and co-workers. When you learn them, your English begins to sound more natural because you are communicating real thoughts and feelings. Now let me show you the best way to practice all 100 sentences. This routine is very simple, but it is extremely effective. First, listen carefully to each sentence. Pay attention to how the words sound together. Next, repeat the sentence aloud. Don't whisper it. Say it clearly with confidence. Then read the sentence again while looking at the text. Try to speak naturally instead of reading like a robot. After that, record your own voice using your phone. When you listen to your recording, compare your pronunciation with the original. You will notice small differences, and that is completely normal. Every time you practice, your pronunciation will become a little better. Finally, try to use these sentences in your own conversations. Speak with your friends, your teacher, your family, or even yourself. The more you use the sentences, the more natural they become. There is another powerful trick that can improve your English very quickly. Do not learn only one sentence. Learn how to change it. For example, if you know the sentence, "I like coffee," you can easily change one word and say, "I like tea." Then you can say, "I like football," "I like music," or "I like reading books." You are using the same sentence pattern while changing only one or two words. In just a few minutes, one sentence becomes 5, 10, or even 20 new sentences. You can do the same with many other sentence patterns. If you know how to say, "I live in London," you can also say, "I live in Karachi," "I live in Lahore," or "I live in a small town." If you know how to ask, "Where do you work?" you can also ask, "Where do you study?" or "Where do you live?" This simple habit helps you build hundreds of useful sentences without memorizing hundreds of grammar rules. Your brain starts recognizing patterns and speaking becomes much easier. Always remember that becoming fluent does not happen overnight. It happens one sentence at a time. Every sentence you practice is another step toward your goal. If you practice these 100 sentences for just 15 to 20 minutes every day, you will be amazed by the results. Within a few weeks, you will notice that your confidence is growing. Your pronunciation will become clearer. Your vocabulary will increase naturally, and speaking English will begin to feel much easier than before. Most importantly, never give up. There may be days when you feel that your progress is slow. That is completely normal. Every successful English speaker started as a beginner. The difference is that they kept practicing even when it felt difficult. You can do the same. Remember, English is not difficult. It only becomes easy when you practice it consistently every single day. Keep listening. Keep repeating. Keep speaking. Keep believing in yourself. One sentence today becomes one conversation tomorrow, and one conversation tomorrow becomes confidence for a lifetime. Your English journey has already begun, and with daily practice, there is no limit to how far you can go. If you enjoyed this lesson and learned something valuable today, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me create more lessons like this for you. Also, tell me in the comments, which of these 100 English sentences will you practice first, and which one do you think will help you the most in your daily life? I read every comment, and your answers may inspire my next lesson. Remember, don't try to learn everything in one day. Learn a few sentences, practice them every day, and use them whenever you get the chance. Small daily practice leads to big results over time. Thank you so much for watching. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, stay consistent, and remember that every sentence you learn brings you one step closer to speaking English with confidence. I will see you in the next video. Happy learning!